Hey everybody, I'm Jacob Castro and welcome to another video on Jacob's Aquarium. So Aquatek was very kind to send me one of their CO2 regulators, and in particular they sent me the mini CO2 regulator that has an integrated adapter to fit onto paintball tanks. So first, before we get into too much detail about the regulator, let's go ahead and do the unboxing first. The regulator comes nicely packaged in a brightly colored box that includes some information on both sides. On the left side, we see a full list of this regulator's features, and on the right, a short paragraph describing in detail what makes this regulator stand out from the others. In the box, we find a bubble counter, a mini catalog showcasing some of the more popular regulators Aquatek sells, a thank you card from Aquatek, and instructions on how to use the regulator. The three-pronged power cord and solenoid is very well made and will for sure stand the test of time. On the very top of the regulator, we see the Aquatek logo, and on the right side is the needle valve that you can use to finally adjust the CO2 output of this regulator. And to monitor your CO2, this gauge will tell you the needle valve pressure, the pressure in your CO2 tank. Inside the threaded connection, we see the small pin that will release CO2 gas from the paintball tank. This regulator meets the highest industry standard quality, and one can definitely tell when holding it. It feels very well made. The included bubble counter comes nicely packaged and includes some information about it on the front and back. It's made out of hard plastic and includes an O-ring right below the threaded connection to prevent CO2 and water leaks. You have two choices to mount this bubble counter. You can either use the plastic bracket or the suction cup. Overall, it's an awesome design that definitely looks like a winner. One thing that I really like about this regulator is that it has a solenoid. Now the solenoid is the thing that's going to be able to give you the opportunity to plug this into a timer so that it turns off and on at, of course, the time that you set. For those of you guys that don't know, you don't want to have your CO2 system running 24/7 because at night plants do not consume CO2, and it's basically just a death trap for your fish, because when there's no plants absorbing CO2 and the CO2 is taking the oxygen out of the environment, you're going to wake up to a tank full of dead fish. And I've seen that in so many other reviews about CO2 products, is that people say, oh, well, it doesn't work because, my fish died and things like that. But you need to know that you cannot run your CO2 24/7 because it is just not beneficial in any way at night, and it just starves your tank of oxygen at night. Now you can actually go onto eBay right now and find some of these on eBay, not this one from Aquatek, but others from other companies based out of China. And I'll tell you right now, they may be cheaper, but the build quality compared to those regulators is nothing compared to the Aquatek regulator. Now just holding this in my hand, I can feel that it's so much heavier, than other regulators of this size. The gauges look so much better. They're, real glass. It's not plastic, and it's metal around it, around the gauges. It's not plastic or anything at all. It's basically a mixture of steel and aluminum, which those are two of the best things to build a regulator out of. And you can just tell it's so much better as far as quality. Alright, so I had to mount my mic on my camera because I can't hold it while I do this, obviously. But I just wanted to show you guys, this is a regular average, 20-ounce paintball tank you can buy at Walmart or even Target, I believe, or pretty much any sporting goods store. And all you want to make sure you do first before you use one of these with this regulator is that you make sure that your O-ring, the little plastic ring that creates a nice tight seal, is either brand new or in good shape. If it's cut up a little bit or missing some chunks out of I believe it's silicone or plastic or whatever it is, but if it's kind of messed up a little bit, don't use it, because you can get a leak, and you can't just waste CO2. And also when you're screwing it on the paintball tank, CO2 will leak out quite quickly and make this really loud sound, and it'll scare the crap out of you. When I first started using regulators, I did that on occasion a couple times, and it's pretty scary because the first thing you think is like, where is this thing gonna take off to, So basically just make sure you have a nice O-ring and it's not damaged at all. And it's very simple to use this regulator, and since we don't have to use an adapter, you just put it right in and screw it in there. And when you're doing this, see, I should say also, my tank is not full with CO2. My tank is actually empty. But when you're doing this, once you get to a certain point, you'll hear a faint popping noise. And all that is the CO2 being released into the regulator, because inside a paintball tank, there's a little pin that needs to be pushed down in order to release the CO2. Much different than a regular standard CO2 tank where you have to, adjust the knob to release CO2. So as soon as you get to a certain point, all that pressure is going to be released into the regulator, and you'll notice the gauges will move. Not both of them. It'll only be the one that tells you the pressure of the tank, which I believe is this one right here. And so just know it's nothing bad. That sound is supposed to happen, and it's just the CO2 gas being released into the regulator. But there you go. I mean, it's pretty simple. You just screw it right on and set it up. And it's this small compact design is very good for small tanks, because obviously if you have a small tank, you already don't have a lot of room to begin with. So this doesn't take up that much room versus a standard industrial size tank, which is huge. And it works. It does the job, and you can adjust the CO2 coming out really finely. You don't have to. It's not gonna only give you like a slow, medium, or high, or whatever you want to call it. You can really finely adjust the amount of CO2 coming out, because you can make some really fine adjustments. So it's a great regulator, it does the job, and of course there's no need for adapters to use it with a paintball tank, which is the number one thing that I like, because it was just such a hassle using the adapter. Because if you screwed this off, the adapter would stay onto here, and then you have to do some Mickey Mouse crap to get the adapter off. So this all-in-one system, of just the regulator that fits directly on the paintball tank, is just so convenient and a must for anybody that's on a budget but still wants to have CO2 in their Planet Aquarium. Now, the last product we're going to discuss in this video is Aquatek's all-in-one ceramic disc diffuser. The most important thing about ceramic disc diffusers is how fine the ceramic is, inside the diffuser. The ones from China that you can buy on eBay have so many large pores in them, and the bubbles they release are just so much bigger. What you really are looking for with a ceramic disc diffuser is really a fine mist of bubbles, because the longer it takes for those bubbles to reach the surface and break and release the CO2 gas, the better, because that means that the CO2 is being absorbed into your aquarium much better. The ones from China, like I said, the bubbles they release that are so much bigger reach the surface so much faster, and it's just pretty much a waste of CO2 in my opinion. But Aquatek's all-in-one ceramic disc diffuser that integrates a check valve, a bubble counter, and of course the ceramic disc diffuser is so much better and does a great job of diffusing CO2 in the Planet Aquarium. And one last thing I wanted to mention was that Aquatek also does sell CO2 proof tubing on their website, which is very important in a CO2 system, because you can't actually use regular airline tubing that you would use with an air pump, because if you look at it under a microscope, which probably most of you can't, but for those of you out there that do have microscopes, if you look at the tubing under a microscope, it has a lot of micropores in the regular tubing, and CO2 leaks out of those pores, and that pretty much just wastes CO2. It fills up your room with CO2, which isn't a good thing to inhale. And it's just a waste. It'll cost you more on your CO2 bills, in other words. So the CO2 proof tubing is a must for a CO2 system, because the tubing is much thicker, does not leak CO2, and it's just made better than the regular airline tubing. So Aquatek does sell this on their website, and it's another really great investment for a CO2 system. So thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out Aquatek of California. They're a great company, sell pretty much everything you need for a CO2 system, and the quality of their products, like I mentioned with their CO2 regulator, is by far the best. And also don't forget to check out jacobsaquarium.com, my website where I sell aquarium plants. And I actually just finished posting quite a bit of new plants. Well, I shouldn't say quite a bit, I should say a lot. There are tons of new plants added to the website, so you guys have a huge selection to choose from. So go check it out on jacobsaquarium.com. And my last plug for this video is my Facebook page. Don't forget to check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/jacobsaquarium. I post a lot of stuff there, and I would appreciate it if you guys like the page as well. Every like helps, and really means a lot to me. So enough with all my advertising. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have fun with your tanks, everybody, and I will see you next time.